Hello, fellow Star Wars fans. My name is Starrapter. I'm so excited, especially for this review today. Today I'm reviewing from DK Publishing Star Wars Timelines. This is an entire history of the Star Wars galaxy dating from 25,000 BBY up to 35 ABY, which is where The Rise of Skywalker ended off, and literally everything in between. So this book is written by Kristen Baver with Jason Fry, Cole Horton, Amy Richau, and Clayton Sandell, and these authors kicked it out of the park. This is the kind of Star Wars reference book I've been looking for since, Disney basically bought out Lucasfilm. I mean, we've been seeing this continuity between the comics, the books, the series, both live action, animated, the films, the video games. Even theme park attraction rides are stated in this with specific times. This is incredible. First off, you're going to see that there's different eras that this is structured in. You have the early history, which is basically everything before the High Republic, 25,000 years before basically A New Hope. Everything is dated, first of all, before the Battle of Yavin or after the Battle of Yavin, aka basically A New Hope Episode 4. You also have the High Republic era, you have the Fall of the Jedi era, which is the prequels, you have Reign of the Empire, which is in between prequels and the original trilogy, you have Age of the Rebellion, which is the original trilogy up into the Battle of Jakku. You have the New Republic, which is everything around the Mandalorian verse, up into the Rise of the First Order, which is a couple of years before The Force Awakens until the defeat of the First Order at Exegol. So you have all that content that is just greatly presented in this book. I mean, you see the cover here, the back of the cover, you have all of the dates of the eras, even the spine has characters. There's a lot of detail, but I love the way that this is presented, right? You have this nice big splash page for the introduction of your era that you're in. Then they give you an overview, which gives you this really broad kind of timeline with still very specific dates of what happens, that the things we're going to dive into in that specific era. And then you break that down into even smaller facets where you have each page is maybe dedicated to a year in a timeline if there's a lot of content, or maybe a couple of years spanning and there's nice titles. And the timelines themselves are really fun because a lot of times you have a linear timeline, but then sometimes you have timelines that branch off that are going around the same event, such as, the Battle of Theed and seeing how you have Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and you have the timeline explaining what's going on there compared to what's happening in space with Anakin, compared to what's happening with Padme there trying to get into the royal palace. So you have really fun instances like that are spread throughout all of the book. And then you even have these large splash pages, these 2-page spreads of specific things, items, characters, ships. Like, for instance, they have the entire history of the Millennium Falcon on one of the pages, the entire history of the Stormtrooper going back to the Clone Troopers, the entire history of the Queens of Naboo. So you have specific pieces that really highlight through various eras the evolution of a certain character, item, and what have you. So I love seeing that as well. The fact that we are getting such specific elements of canon. I mean, we're talking about one-shot comics. We're talking about theme park rides in Galaxy's Edge. We're talking about things that you can't even do anymore, such as the Secrets of the Empire 4D experience that was in maybe a handful of locations across the United States. So they have left no stone unturned. And what this book does is it allows you to see the great picture of Star Wars, the overall picture of Star Wars. And I have read this book in a way where I read it from front to back cover as if I'm reading a story, and it really presents that when you were going through this, the story group at Lucasfilm was able to kind of plot this all along, filling in the timeline between movies, but doing it in a way that supported the movie, enhanced the movies, and everything in between, same as the series. So it was a brilliant move to finally get a book out like this. I hope maybe every 10, maybe 5 every 10 years we get another edition of this, because I love the value that this book brings. There's also an index back here, so if you're a person that is just wanting to take a look at certain characters, take a look at certain planets, it's going to give you exact breakdowns of what pages those things are in this book. So as a reference book, that is super valuable to somebody like me that is really staying ahead of the canon and then trying to figure out where certain things ended. I was doing a lot of mental gymnastics with the BBY, ABY. Oh, where is the High Republic? Oh, the High Republic. Phase 1 starts in 232 BBY. Oh, what happened in The Mandalorian? Oh, that's 9 ABY. Ooh, what happened in the Bloodline book by Claudia Gray? Oh, that started in 28 ABY. So for people like me that want to know those exact things for the last several years, we get those exact dates. If you want to know how old Emperor Palpatine is at the time of the Phantom Menace, spoiler, it's 52. You can find that out in this book. If you want to know when certain characters died, I've even found very interesting things in this book, such as they blatantly left out that Cad Bane maybe didn't die in the Book of Boba Fett. There's no little death tab. And by the way, that's funny because throughout this book, you have birth tabs of, Anakin Skywalker born this date, or you have, the death of Darth Maul at this rate. So there's little things like that, and they specifically left out Cad Bane. I don't know if they specifically did, but it seems like a kind of a coincidence. And they left out Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma is not listed as dying, so maybe we're going to see her in the subsequent Rey movie with the new Jedi Order. I don't know, but what I do know is if you're a Star Wars fan or you're even curious about the overall scope, the overall canon of Star Wars, this is a must-buy more than any other thing I could recommend for a Star Wars reference book. This is the best Star Wars reference book I've ever read. I've loved the visual dictionaries. They are excellent. I always recommend them. But if you are to pick one Star Wars reference book that you can own, Star Wars Timelines is going to be the one that you are going to own. What Kristen, what Jason, what Cole, what Amy, what Clayton did with this book was just the most nerdy, geek kind of project, and man, oh man, it seemed like it had to have been fun, but also very difficult because there's a lot of these things that they're estimated, we don't know exactly when this was, but this is estimated between 2 ABY to 3 ABY. I don't know, right? So you got stuff there, but these guys did an incredible job. These guys and girls did an incredible job in just making us a comprehensive reference book that is very practical. And I'm going to be using this in the future, and I just can't wait to just crack this thing open every once in a while to just refamiliarize myself with these big events and small events in the Star Wars continuity. So there you go. You're planning on picking up Star Wars Timelines? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. For more on Star Wars, you're already in the right place. I do my weekly podcast, Star Wars Outer Rim Transmission. You can check that out, as well as all my other Star Wars content, such as my weekly comic book reviews. So that's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.
Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.